You're listening to the Magnetic Boss Podcast, a place for spiritual entrepreneurs and visionary women. I'm Calandra, intuitive brand designer and founder of the Magnetic Boss Studio, where we cultivate magnetic brands, websites, and a social media presence for our clients. On this podcast, you'll learn how to begin cultivating your magnetic brand so you can attract dream clients with ease. Each month, we'll bring you real, raw conversations and industry guest experts to help you create your most magnetic self. Thank you for listening today. Now let's get this party started. Karen Gargiso is an accountant and financial coach for spiritual, sacred, and sensual entrepreneurs. She is a wild and pleasurable wealth witch, helping you liberate shame and alchemize trauma. Welcome, Karen. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Oh, hello. I am so freaking excited. I love chatting with you, even like through the DMs and like voice messages.
I know. It's been a long time. So before we jump into the juicy conversation all about money and the spirituality aspect of that, will you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to this point of helping women with healing their relationships with money and really taking that to a different level?
Sure. Honestly, like I don't know where to begin because it all kind of like all the offerings and like all the services, like has so much of like my energy behind of it. Like I have revamped my company so much in like the last 4 years of its existence. And like year after year, I'm just like, wow, like I'm getting like closer to like who I am and like what I embody. And, like my view of money, like, which is like very playful and joyful and could be used for like, what you find pleasure in and, what kind of like turns you on and stuff like that, and it's just really, really fun and excited to be able to teach in that way and guide in that way. And my business is an inclusive business. So like, I don't just work with like, I was saying like, there's been a lot of like evolving. And, when I first started out my business, I was offering my services to only women or those who identify as women and female. And, over like the last 2 years, I've shifted to more of this inclusive business because, I was just like, wow, like there's so many other people that I can support out here who like need my help. And, like I shifted into offering my services to the LGBTQ community and those who identify as female and male. And, it's just been really, really great. And like literally like my heart is just like so excited for like everything that's going to be happening this year with like all of the businesses. And yeah, I'm trying to like calm my nerves down right now.
No, I love that. It's been so fun just knowing you for a few years now and watching your evolution and really you just kind of solidifying not only who you work with and the services that you provide, but just on a deeper level, understanding your business and tapping into all of the aspects and the ways that you help people. When it comes to, because we're speaking to spiritual entrepreneurs on this podcast and business owners, what are some of the key roadblocks that you find people experiencing when it comes to their money? Are there any like big red flags that you notice or blocks that people are experiencing?
Honestly, like I feel like when it comes to their finances, they like the anxiety and the nervousness, is what I notice and comes up a lot in like my sessions with them. And, like some of them are just like, like, oh my gosh, like I don't have that level of attention or detail. I'm like, you do. Or, like you just need someone to kind of like guide and show you like how to manage your books or and I mean, like, I'm very blunt, I'm very honest, but like, I am also this very sweet person that will hold you in this safe space and container. And, so like, it depends on like the energy that I'm picking up from my client on how I show up for them. Like if they need like their badass money sister who needs to like give them a kick in the ass, like I will show up as her. If they need more of that nurturing like mom energy, then I will show up as her. So sorry, hon.
Yeah, it's almost like with money and relationships with money, it seems like the biggest and most important thing for people either doing this work independently or working with someone like yourself is meeting yourself where you're at or recognizing where you're at so that you can start to heal the money stories, understand the money stories, unpack those, and then rewrite them. So when it comes to people's relationships with money and when they are noticing that they have roadblocks, if they're working with somebody like you or they're working on this type of inner work themselves, what's kind of that starting point? Like, yes, recognizing where you are and what needs to be healed or what transformations are available. Where do you go from there once you know that this is an area to focus on?
So a lot of my clients or those who, kind of like book discovery calls and like, that I work with, a lot of them have like this view of, like I want expansion, but at the same time, I'm afraid of it. Or, I
Mm-hmm.
want to free myself from my money shame and like my generational money shame that I never friggin' knew that existed. So like one thing that I love to do with them is like tapping. So like, EFT or emotional freedom technique, to like help them to relieve like some of that money shame, because when you have a negative association with money, you almost fail to create financial abundance within your lives, right? And that can go from like not knowing like where my money is coming from or going to, what other avenues I have, to create more abundance or more money or more wealth. And like if I feel like I have a roadblock or a block, um or I feel like this stuckness, it's actually time to do like that deep work, do the shadow work, and then see like what is coming up for you, right? Like, we're all focused so much on like manifesting. And then
Mm-hmm.
when we manifest and we get, we're getting what it is that we've asked for, right? We're just like, okay, like now I'm at this 10K month that I've been wanting for so long. And now, it's like my third month into like my 10K month. And I can't, I don't know where my money went. And I'm like,
Right.
well, like, but like, and it's not trying to like shame anyone, right? Because like, I don't believe in like shaming anyone around their money. If you want to like spend your money on like whatever you find like pleasurable and like sensual to you and excites you and your energy and your body and your mind and all of that, like that is for you. It's not right for me to judge. And like honestly, like I mean, look at the clients that I work with, the niches that I work with. Like I work with like sacred feminine embodiment, sensual entrepreneurs, right? And honestly, like some of the items that, like they buy, and I'm just like, hi, write off, expense, business expense.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
it's just really, really exciting. And like once they learn, and understand like how, um, like what's considered, an expense for their business, or like what they can eliminate from their business in order to create more cash flow, or like, hey, here's the income types that I brought in, and here's the marketing that I'm going to change in the next couple of months based on my income that's come in. So like looking at your financials regularly, and that can be from like weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, is going to help make so many shifts from that cycle of scarcity, fear, stress, like basically like your low vibrational emotions. um that's always not necessarily like for your highest good. So,
Right.
and like, I feel like that's kind of like one of the things that helps to create a positive relationship with money and your spirituality, because they're not one or the other. They go together.
Yeah. And I think that that's so easy for business owners to separate in our minds especially when we're in the online space and we're seeing other people hitting these income goals or celebrating these income milestones. And it's really easy for people to get stuck in the mindset of, oh, well, I'm not there yet, or how am I ever going to make that happen? And it really does come back to the energetics of it and the relationship that you have. You kind of touched on bookkeeping, and that leads me to my next question, which is all about taxes. I know that you just had a wild tax season. So can you tell me a little bit about what that process can look like versus what it maybe typically looks like for most entrepreneurs?
So, I mean, like, I was going through the tax season and I was just like, holy shit, I've learned so many lessons of things not to do next season, or, things that I would like to, streamline and make a lot easier on myself as well as for the entrepreneur, right? Or even those that I did, like personal taxes for. And like it was like, and honestly, thank God, like there wasn't like any Mercury retrogrades like happening during tax season. Like at the beginning of this year, I was just like, wait, like when are all the retrogrades happening this year? And I was like, because if Mercury retrograde is happening during tax season, I'm going to get like a lot of people who are going to be freaked the fuck out. And, because like when it comes to like taxes and like retrogrades, right? Like it almost like sends these like shivers down our spines and, like making me want to like run in like an opposite direction and bury my head in the sand. So like a lot of us get like really overwhelmed and confused and kind of like intimidated when it comes to taxes, and let alone like when it coincides with like a retrograde. And but like you have to remember your view of money. Is it pleasurable? Is it expansive? Is it fun? Is it a blessing? And, like, I just feel like tax season, or even just like, off tax filing season, like it's all coming back to, embracing your gifts when it comes to like tax season, right? Or even when it's like, managing your finances, because like I've had entrepreneurs who are just like, shit, like I didn't do anything for any of my 2021. What am I supposed to do now? And like the harsh truth of it is like, chill the fuck out. Like, honestly, like really and truly chill the fuck out. Take a big, deep breath, release all that fear and expectation that I should have had this done. I could have had this done. I could have hired someone to help me do this like last year. Well, okay, you could have, but did you? No. Okay, but you're here now. So get the support now, right? So sometimes like, we need that harsh truth reflection back to us, but like in a very like, positive way, right? And this is where like it comes to like finding that abundant money ally, your financial support person or team for your business, right? So like you can release like, the fear that this has to be like hard or scary or painful, like rather that like, look at the entire experience that like it has so much potential.
Yeah.
So
and
like,
I think for entrepreneurs, especially in the beginning of their businesses and sometimes even further into their businesses, we have this mentality of I have to do it all myself, or it's either not going to be done right, or I'm not going to have the control, right? It's that releasing of control. And I just know from personal experience with outsourcing various things in my business that having that support system, having that accountability is really what makes everything else so much more easeful. And when I think about taxes, I used to get really stressed out about them. I used to think that I was constantly doing them wrong. And now it seems like that gets to be a simple system, but that's because I have all areas of my business energetically supported.
Right.
So I'm not leaking energy into that one area of my business every single year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I get that. So like, you have to be open to support. And honestly, if you haven't done shit for your taxes or your bookkeeping, and you're like 4, 5, 6 months behind on it, it's okay. Like, quit the panicking, and stop feeling like you're a horrible human being for not having it all together, right? Because like, honey, like, really and truly, like, I haven't done my bookkeeping like the last month, but like, I know my numbers because I'm a very like I know like where my money has gone to and where it's like, where it's coming from, so that, like, I don't feel that shame, like your money person, like your financial support person doesn't even have their shit together. Okay. Like, really and truly, no one fucking does. So,
Right.
I just feel like we have to stop feeling like we're a bad person for not having this done, or like, to realize that there really is nothing to be ashamed of, and it's not too late to enlist the support of someone to help you like manage your business and personal finances and your taxes and maximize your return, as well as helping you, heal that money wound that you have, right? Because like, I guarantee, and I've experienced this already with a couple of clients, where like they show up on my discovery calls and they start like saying like, I'm so embarrassed to show you this, but like they show up really confident, right? And then when we're going through their books, I'm just like, are you okay? Because like I can pick up on like their energy already, right? And or like sometimes like, I will hear spirit, and spirit's just like, hi, checking with them. And, so I'm just like, so like I will stop and I will pause and I will check in with them. And, like, it's just, there's just so much fear. And especially with like working with like, other accountants and bookkeepers and all these things in the past, they feel like they're going to be judged, that they're going to be shamed. And I'm like, okay, you spent, whatever on a friggin' like crystal dildo. Okay, yay. Or, or you spent like, this much in like essential oils, or like, investing in like, a business coach and like all of that. But good, okay, like good for you, but like, let me help you understand the things that you can claim, or the things that, is considered more on a personal level, right? And I mean, like, honestly, like I just said friggin' crystal dildo and you laughed about it. And like that, I had the same reactions, like when I first started learning about like some of these like expenses. And I was like, wow, okay, like I can like claim this. This is amazing, And but like, like it still like activates like, like my inner child and adult Karen and older Karen, because like it's just fun, so
Right.
like
And I
I
think
love
that
what I do with like all of this stuff, because like it makes me feel like I'm really, really being of service here. And not only am I like, helping them get into the spirit of like, finding out like what their leaks are in their business with their finances or their personal finances, but like it gives them a view from like this new and fresh perspective when it comes to their money.
Yeah, and I love that you said that, it gets to be fun. Like money and bookkeeping and taxes and all of the things that we have to look at as entrepreneurs, once we look at them and we're able to say, okay, I don't really know the answer to this, but I'm going to figure it out, or I'm going to get support to figure it out, then you get to give yourself permission to make that process fun and maybe make mistakes along the way, but that doesn't mean that you won't learn from them.
Correct. Yeah.
I love that. Can
you
you
know.
share with us, as we're kind of wrapping up our conversation, we've talked about taxes, which I think we could probably talk about for hours, and the relationships with money. But when it comes to being an entrepreneur, do you have a tip that you can share with the audience on creating wealth? Like one thing that they could do today, this week, that is going to help them tap into healing that relationship with money and creating more wealth in their life and business?
So one thing I would say is spirituality goes hand in hand with expansion, and so does your money. Like your soul is special. It's a beautiful part of who you are, and it wants to grow and expand. And in order to grow and expand, it has to go through all of these life experiences, right? Like both good and bad. So if you're feeling, that shame and guilt around your money, then pay attention to it. See how often it gets reflected back to you. Is it guilting you because like, oh my gosh, like I'm spending so much and I'm not saving? Then that's something for you to pay attention to so that, you can take the necessary action and, start funneling your resources into, making, the impact that you're here to make and, at the same time helping others, right? So open up a high yield savings account, and I love to use Chime and I love to use Ally. And like they both have their different features, but like start creating an emergency fund, start creating a sinking fund, and start like writing down like what do I really enjoy in my life that money can support me with and money is supporting me with, so that I feel more connected to myself as well as my money. So I think, going back to what you said before is, just getting the support, like even if it's just like hopping on a call with someone, a bookkeeper or an accountant or a tax person or anything like that, to kind of say like, hey, I'm just starting out or I'm a seasoned entrepreneur, you know, um, and here's what I'm struggling with, and I really, really need the help. Like that one call can set you up for the future for who knows how long, and
Yeah.
until you're ready to like outsource this, like your entire like cash flow management, then, get, someone to kind of like guide you and train you so that you're not really like viewing this as this negative experience, but more like
Mm-hmm.
seeing it as like you're enabling your own spiritual growth and in like getting yourself into more alignment and expansion. And it's exciting to do the research but also getting the support you
Yeah.
know
I think that that's such an important step. So speaking of which, I know that you offer these sessions and that you are working with people with healing their relationship with money. You're also offering so many other amazing things, and you have new things that are about to launch that we can chat about soon. But will
ah,
you tell everyone where they can find you, how they can get connected, and how they might work with you?
sure. So I use IG as my main platform, which is really exciting, and I'm learning all the friggin' features thanks to you. Um, learning about like my KPIs and my metrics on social media. I was just like, I didn't know this before. Um, so you can find me on IG currently at the Spiritual Bookkeeper. My website is www.karengargiso.com. And, like the single sessions that I was just chatting about is called the money date. And this is kind of where like we get to have like a one-on-one coaching session, where I wear my accountant hat, I wear my tax hat, I wear my financial coach hat, and like we hold space for you and, go through all the shit that, you're afraid to like bring up and like, let your coach know about, where like, when you have the session with me, like we're gonna like break into everything and we're going to almost like transmute and alkalize and see like where our leaks are and see, like what needs to be fixed. And I guarantee that you're going to walk away with these sessions like feeling like so energized, and you're going to feel a little like overindulgent. I'm not going to lie. Which is a good thing, which I think is a good thing. And then, like there's these services there for like, monthly, quarterly bookkeeping and accounting, CFO services, tax prep, and financial coaching, and like my astrology readings and human design readings, which it's all like amazing.
Yeah, it is. So there's a lot to explore. I'll put all of Karen's links in the show notes, but I just want to thank you, Karen, for coming on and kind of scratching the surface of relationships with money today. There's so much more we could talk about, but I encourage everyone that's listening to go follow Karen and soak up everything that she has to share.
If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe wherever you are listening so you don't miss a thing. Your iTunes reviews help the show impact more magnetic bosses just like you. If you leave a review or listen to this episode, share the episode on Instagram and tag @calandra.martin on Instagram so I can thank you personally. If you're craving community and connection with like-minded entrepreneurs, join us inside the Magnetic Boss Collective on Facebook, where you can build relationships and share your business too. Until next time, Magnetic Boss.